Now here's a regular Springer front end installed on a motorcycle. Important things to look for when you're putting your motorcycle together is the suspension geometry. Now this is your Springer, the actual length. When you hit a bump, this rocker is going to lift up and back. It's important that when you lay out the geometry of your motorcycle, that as the motorcycle runs over a bump, that this rocker, when it goes up, that it also goes back. So the axle has to be slightly higher than the pivot point in order to get a good suspension action. If it's below, then when you hit a bump, it's going to want to move forward, and it's not going to want to do that, and the suspension will dynamically bind. Whereas if it's above it, it will naturally follow and be compliant as it goes over the bump. Now, to do that, what we've done when we manufacture our Springers, we supply the tubes slightly over length. None of this is welded up. This is all billet aluminum with high-quality pinch bolts that clamp to the tubes. This allows you to mock your bike up so that you can set the exact length of this tube by trimming the end of it so that your rocker geometry is perfect for your individual motorcycle. Once you've done that, then you can adjust the length of your pushrod tube so that wherever your spring tree is you decide to locate it, you get the right preload. This is a huge and very important thing on your Springer. If you buy a Springer where you can't adjust the length of the tubes, it means that whatever this rocker geometry is what you're stuck with, and it's very likely that you'll end up with a motorcycle that doesn't ride well. A Springer properly designed and properly set up is going to give you a better ride than any conventional fork available on the market today. That's because, first off, a Springer with good geometry will be very compliant over the bumps because it has a rocker arm which will act like your rear swing arm. Second, because we have sealed ball bearings at each pivot point, it means that you'll have very little stiction. If you have bushings or if you have a conventional fork, there's a lot of stiction. On a Springer with ball bearings at the pivot points, there's no friction. The other thing is we have a large shock absorber with a variable rate spring. This is going to be a very sophisticated dampening assembly which controls the patter of the front wheel. All of this combines to give a very good handling bike as it goes over bumps. The other key element to making the motorcycle work good, stability, is to avoid the front wheel moving independently of the rest of the forks. Now we control that by using a large, rigid billet leading link. We control that by a very stout and well-engineered triple tree assembly so that the amount of side-to-side flex is minimized. And if you build a Springer using all of those key principles, you're going to have a motorcycle that handles better than any motorcycle on earth.